So I think there's been some suspicious things happening with my wife, and she's not home right now. So I thought maybe this would be a good time to share with you to see if maybe you would come to the same conclusion that I've come to. I think, and I could be wrong, I have been wrong before, but I think that my wife is using parenting tactics on me as her husband. Now bear with me. It all started the other day. We were at the store and I went to grab a snack. I wanted a little snacky poo. My belly had a little rumbly in my tummy and I wanted a little snack. So I went to grab some Cheez-Its off the shelf and my wife said, no, you can't have those. Those aren't good for you. And I threw a little bit of a fit because, I had certain expectations. I was going to get my snacky poo and I was a little hungry, so I was a little hangry. And I kind of whined a little bit. I was a little upset. And she sat me down and said, there's icky stuff in there. There's things called natural flavors and cornstarch and corn syrup and all kinds of bad things. You don't want that. And I told her I don't really care about that. I just want food. And she said, well, if you want to be big and strong one day, then you need to eat good food. And I do want to be big and strong. I do. So I can't eat Cheez-Its. And that's normal. We have those conversations from time to time. But then I noticed the next day, my daughter went to grab Cheez-Its off the shelf at the store. And my wife said, no, you don't want that. It's bad for you. And my daughter said she didn't care. She wanted snacks. She did want that food. She wanted Cheez-Its. You know what she told her? She said, Mika, if you want to be big and strong one day, you can't eat this stuff. It's not good for you. I stopped. And I thought, wait a minute. That's weird. But it wasn't just that. This kept happening. The other day, we were walking through the park, and I saw a nice little couple about our age, and the man was carrying a white Monster energy drink. And I said, why does he get to get Monster energy drinks and I don't get any Monster energy drinks? Because I love Monster energy drinks. They're delicious, they're 0 sugar, and they give me tons of caffeine to get me zooted throughout the day. And she says, well, if she wants to let him wreck his body and put bad things in his body, then that's her choice. But I am not going to let you eat bad things because I want you to live a long time. And I want you to get big and strong. And I do want to get big and strong. So that makes sense. But then just a few days ago, we were at the park and my daughter saw a little girl who had a bunch of candy. And she said, I want candy. I want candy right now. And to be honest, when I saw that candy, it kind of made me want some too. But my wife told her, candy's not good for you. And if that mom wants to let her kids eat bad food so that they don't grow up big and strong, then that's on her. But I'm a good mommy and I'm not going to let you eat bad food. And I thought, that's weird. She said the same thing to me the other day. And just yesterday, we were trying to leave to go somewhere. And I get a little stressy poo when I can't get out on time. Which is hard for me because since knowing my wife, going on 8 years now since knowing her, I've never been on time, ever. And the kids have not made it any easier. So I get a little stressy poo when it's time to leave. And we were trying to get to church and we weren't going to make it on time. And my wife told me that I needed to take some breaths. So I took a deep breath. And then she said, no, you got to take 3. So I took 3 deep breaths. And I felt a lot better. And she said, see, sometimes you just need to take some breaths and remind yourself that everything's going to be okay. And we didn't get to church on time. But everything turned out okay anyway. And she was right. But then this morning, my daughter was freaking out because she wanted story time and we weren't doing story time. And my wife said, Mika, you need to take 3 deep breaths. Calm down and take 3 deep breaths. And I looked at my daughter and I was like, you gotta try this. It works. I'm telling you, she did the same thing. She did the same thing with me. And that's when it clicked. That's when it clicked. And then the memories came rolling in. One night, I took my clothes off before I got in bed, and I dropped them right next to my bed because it's easy, and then I can just put them on the next day. And my wife said, you need to pick them up. We are adults, and adults pick up their clothes. And it was hard to argue because we are adults, and adults do pick up their clothes. But then later that day, Mika didn't pick up her toys, and my wife said, you gotta pick up your toys because you're a big girl, and big girls pick up their toys. You see where I'm going? Well, snack break. Big bars. My wife got them. No artificial flavors or high fructose corn syrup, which is awesome because my wife says that corn syrup will keep me from getting big and strong. It's worse than I thought. Whenever I cross the street, my wife tells me that she wants me to hold her hand. And I always thought she wanted me to hold her hand because I'm big and strong and I can protect her from the cars. But then I saw her tell Mika that she needs to hold her hand when she crosses the street. And then I realized that maybe her wanting me to hold her hand was not for her, but for me. He's gonna want a cookie. And whenever we go outside, my wife always tells me that I'm not wearing enough clothes, and she always tells me I gotta put on another jacket. I gotta put on a jacket. And I always tell her, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need another jacket. I'm good. I don't need help. And I will admit, most of the time, I end up being very, very cold. Sometimes painfully cold. But I would never tell her that because then she would be right and she would know that I don't know how to dress myself. So the other day, my wife told our daughter that she has to wear a coat. And my daughter says, I don't want to wear a coat. I don't need a coat. I'm not cold. And so my wife said, sure, fine. Go on the walk without a coat. And as we were walking, I could tell she was pretty cold. I could tell. And my wife asked her, Mika, are you cold? And she said, no, I'm fine. And then I took Mika to the side and I said, are you cold? And she said, yeah, I'm really cold. And I said, did you not tell mommy because you didn't want her to be right? And Mika said, yeah. How did you know that, Daddy? And I said, because I do the same thing. I think my wife is parenting me. I don't know what to do about it. Maybe this is normal. But it's starting to feel really, really fishy. So maybe I'm crazy. I could be crazy. But I think my wife is using parenting tactics on me. But I think the real concern is, why is it working?